Hey guys, Jessica here. So today we are talking about the Tommee Tippee Made for You wearable, and we're going to talk about how to know if your hub is functioning correctly. So with most wearables, if there is a malfunction, it's really obvious. With the Willow 3.0, it starts to throw all kinds of error codes. It's not pumping correctly. It makes loud noises. It's gulping. Sometimes we can see the physical damage to the hub. With the LV Original, we can see that the diaphragm at the top stops moving correctly. It's very easy to troubleshoot whether it's operating correctly. This one, though, it's a little bit harder because all of your suction parts are down here and they're fairly small, and you can only see the bottom duckbill. So let's talk about how you know if your hub is working correctly, because you want to make sure that your breast pump is working correctly so that you can get the most from your pumping. So the first thing is, is it fully charged? And if it's charged, are the buttons on it operating? So from the top, you've got a power button, you've got a play button, and then you've got your up and down buttons. If you are operating the hub strictly from the buttons, you can only access the expression modes. If you are operating from the app, then you can access stimulation mode and expression modes as well. But let's start with operating the buttons. If you turn it on, are the buttons responding correctly? What I recommend doing if we're not sure a pump is working correctly is to take the Tommee Tippee 17mm insert, put it in the 24mm hub. And if you don't have the 17mm insert, you can actually order it for free from Tommee Tippee. And it is small enough that it allows the average adult to plug this hole with their thumb, because if we're not sure if a pump is operating correctly, we don't necessarily want to put it on a nipple, which is much more vulnerable than a thumb. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring up the suction graph for you so we can talk about what the suction actually looks like, and then we're going to talk about how to go through the different settings. Okay, so this is a graph of the suction. So this pump has a very unique pattern. It is going to be pulsing or pulling without dropping down to zero because it is a constant suction pump. So you get a series of about 20 active pulls, and then you're going to feel it pause, and you'll still hear the pump making a noise that sounds similar to pumping, but it's not pumping. You're not going to feel a pull on the nipple as much as you're going to feel pressure slowly decrease. And then after just a few seconds, you're going to feel a little bit of a pickup, and then the pump is going to go right back to where it was. It should be back up to the suction level that it was previously within 4 to 5 pulls, in my experience. So let's look at what the suction levels are and let's talk through how this would look. So with the buttons, you're going to start on level 1 on expression mode. You would turn it on. And what you're going to do is you're going to allow it to go through a full cycle and then start to vent while on level 1. And you're going to feel that, you should be able to feel the suction, but it's fairly light on level 1. 90 mmHg is not a ton of suction. So you want to feel that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to push the up button, or the 2 circles on the buttons for the controls, and you should feel that the pump gets stronger on level 2, but it stays the same speed. You're going to, again, allow it to go through that full cycle, start to vent. Once you get through the vent and it starts pumping again, go ahead and kick it up to level 3. We should feel that the pump slows down and gets noticeably stronger. 125 to 160 mmHg is going to feel very different for most people. So you should feel that that suction increases. Again, go through that full cycle, allow it to vent, allow it to start pumping again, and now we're going to kick it over to level 4. So on this one, we should feel the speed pickup as well as the suction. It's not going to be a very dramatic jump in suction, but it should be noticeable. Again, go through that pumping cycle, allow it to vent. Now we're going to kick it over to level 5. Level 4 to 5 is a big jump in suction. So you should feel a dramatic increase in suction, and you should feel it stay about the same speed. One is at 64, one is at 65. Honestly, you're not going to notice a difference. So again, allow it to go through this. You should feel that it stays at the higher suction after a few pulls, and we should not feel it dropping. You're now going to kick it over to level 6. you should feel a slight increase in suction, but not a ton, but it should feel like it slows down a little bit. So I personally think it feels like it slows and maybe a little bit longer pulls. And then again, we're going to allow it to go through this cycle, allow it to vent. And when the pump starts pumping again, you're going to kick it over to level 7. Level 7 is the same speed as level 6, so we should not feel a change in speed, but we should feel suction jump up. It is a noticeable jump again. And then again, allow it to go through this cycle. And we're going to kick it over again to level 8. So now we're at maximum suction. It does take a little bit longer on level 8 for it to build the suction, so maybe give it 10 pulls to see. But within 10 pulls, you should see that it is up at that higher suction and it's running faster than it was. And then we're going to do the same thing in reverse. So you're up at level 8 right now. Let it go through the cycle. Once it goes through the cycle and starts pumping again, I want you to turn it down. What you should feel is that the speed drops and the suction drops. Again, allow it to go through its cycle. Allow it to vent. When it starts pumping again, drop it again. You should feel that the suction drops and the speed increases. So now we are at level 5. From level 5, we're going to allow it to pump, vent, and when it kicks in again, we're going to kick it down to level 4. So we should feel that it is lower and the same speed. You should not notice a speed difference, but there is a dramatic drop in suction at this point. We're going to let it go through that cycle. We're going to let it vent, and then we're going to kick it over to level 3. On level 3, it should slow down and feel lower. It's not going to be a lot lower in suction, but you should notice that it drops. Let it run through this cycle, let it vent, and then we're going to kick it over to level 2, and you should feel that it is running faster and noticeably lower. Again, let it go through its cycle, let it vent, and then we're going to drop it down to level 1. On level 1, you should feel that it's running at the same speed, but lower. So that allows us to check this manually, even without the app. I do want you to connect it to the app. And again, you would repeat the same process. I want to make sure that it's connecting to Bluetooth and that it's reliably staying on Bluetooth, because that would be a malfunction. And then on the app, you can actually run it through simulation and expression. So the massage mode, the stimulation mode, that's going to be really, really light and noticeably faster. It's about 40 cycles per minute faster than the rest of the settings. So light and fast. So you can go all the way from expression level 1 to 8 and back down to check it, or you can start on stimulation and go stimulation, then expression levels 1 through 8, back down to level 1, and then hit stimulation to double check it. If you're noticing that your pump is losing Bluetooth connectivity, that is something that you want to troubleshoot. If you're noticing that the suction is not picking up like it's supposed to, that's something you want to troubleshoot. If you notice that the suction is not dropping like it's supposed to, if you're getting up to the higher levels and it's not dropping, that's another sign of a malfunction. We see that with constant suction pumps sometimes. Sometimes the vacuum regulator just doesn't do what it's supposed to. So this is something that we definitely want to troubleshoot. And to troubleshoot this, what you want to do is you want to reach out to customer service, and they're going to want to do a couple things. They're going to want to verify that we've got the flange fit and the bra fit right, because those two things can greatly influence how the pump feels on your body. So a pump that is being used suboptimally is going to feel like it's malfunctioning for some people. So we need to make sure that we have those things dialed in, and then they can troubleshoot to see if this is working correctly. So if you have concerns, run through this, kind of isolate what you think is going on, and then reach out to customer service and let them help you. Okay, hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions, please just let me know.